Hi, this is Tapcat, and today I want to talk about Phoenix Point. Now, a number of viewers have asked me my opinion about the game or suggested that I do a Let's Play series for it. And up to now, I've kind of begged off of answering that because while I haven't spent a ton of time playing it, I actually tried to publish a video on it late last year, and it really snowballed into a bit of a fiasco. And I wanted a chance to kind of tell the story in a semi-coherent way, in maybe a little more detail than I could realistically do in a Q&A or in the comment section or something like that. Hopefully you'll find the story somewhat interesting and it'll kind of clue you in as to where I stand with the game. So first of all, I would say that from the first time I found out about Phoenix Point, I was interested in it. I believe a viewer is the one who first tipped me off to it and asked me, if I was interested in playing it. And so I checked it out, watched whatever trailer they had at the time, and it definitely grabbed my attention. It was certainly interesting that Julian Gollop, who is kind of the primary creator for XCOM originally, was involved in this. And then also, I was really blown away by how beautiful the graphics were. I think if I remember correctly, that first trailer that I saw, they were showing a boss fight and the enemy design and everything, it was really gorgeous. Definitely the best looking Battlefield graphics I had seen in any game of this type. It was very impressive to me. I believe I missed the initial round of fundraising that they had done, but on their website, they had an option where you could still back the game. And so I did that. Periodically, they released what they referred to as backer builds, which you were free to download and try out. Now, for the most part, I did not play those. As a general rule, I don't really like playing unfinished games. It's just not really my thing. I'd rather wait and play a finished product that I have the best chance to enjoy rather than getting in very early just for the sake of getting in early. Now, in this case, what I did do is I played what they called Backer Build 5. So this was the fifth and final version that they would publish prior to release. And the funny thing is that even I was aware they had announced it was coming and I was planning on downloading it. And my thought was, I'll play it some and maybe I could do a preview for the channel. I hadn't recorded anything for, I think it was close to a year at that point. And I was not happy about that. And even if it wasn't going to be the beginning of a new series or anything, I thought, well, that's okay. But at least I'll be doing something for the channel. And that was actually the second time that I had tried something like that. And maybe I'll tell the other story another day. But at any rate, before Backer Build 5 released, I got an email from somebody representing the developer asking if I wanted to be able to download it early. And I did say yes. Now, the problem is it was twofold. One, they only gave me a code like 3 days before it was going to be downloadable. So I didn't have a lot of time to work with. And then my other issue was that this came at a time when my work schedule was extremely hectic and I really didn't end up having any time to play it. I think I literally got as far as downloading the game and maybe I played a mission or two, but nowhere near enough to do any content that would be meaningful to anybody. So, the deadline came and went as far as the backer build being released to anyone who was going to have access to it. And then it was a while before I was able to work in, really playing some missions with it. But I did, I kind of pecked away at it and eventually I got serious and was able to play through, like a mission or two a night until I got there. Now, at this point, I kind of started to wonder what I was going to do in terms of a video. And let me explain what I mean by that. I was playing on the second highest difficulty level. But at the same time, I don't know, I wasn't feeling in most missions that my soldiers were in all that much jeopardy. Also, while the enemies looked good, the abilities, at least in the early part of the campaign, they didn't really seem that interesting or original at all. So, some of them shoot a gun at you. Some of them walk up and, use a melee attack. One I remember was really weird because there was this kind of mushroom looking thing, kind of a fungus creature that would shoot out a cloud. And I remember the cloud was supposed to do something. I think it buffed some of its allies or something, but none of them would ever go through the cloud. So these things would just literally sit there and do nothing. And so The enemies just weren't really wowing me, to put it mildly. And I definitely didn't feel, like how can I say this? It wasn't that the lack of challenge that I felt was because my gameplay was so amazing. I just didn't think the game was really throwing much at me. Essentially what would happen is you go on the map and just every enemy starts moving in your direction. And the only real challenge is kind of mowing them down quickly enough before they get to you or start doing major damage. The other thing that I also really disliked is that when you're back at the base, it feels completely static and mostly abstracted. So it has no presence. You have no sense that you're occupying a space. It's just literally almost telling you you're back at the base now, but you don't feel like that. So that was kind of a disappointment to me as well. I want to be clear. It's not that I hated the game or thought it was the worst thing I'd ever played or anything like that, but it didn't engender any positive feelings in me either. To be honest, it felt really lifeless and dull. And by the time I had played through about 10 or 15 missions, I just did not care at all about continuing to play. So at that point, I'm sitting there going, well, what am I going to say in a preview? Because I'm not going to sit here and trash a game based on playing maybe a third of the campaign, if that. Probably not. And it's not even the final version, right? Even though I had played enough to know that my interest in playing more was really minimal, the last thing I'm going to do is just based on that small sample size to publish a video and tell people, you should avoid this. Don't play this game. So basically what I ended up deciding to do is I thought, okay, I'm going to just play a mission and I will kind of talk through how the combat system works and things like that. And, how my decision making works. And then we'll go back to the base and I'll show just some basics there. So not really trying to influence people with my opinion, but really just kind of show you the game at a basic level and then let you decide based on, knowing this isn't the final version, but hey, it's probably going to at least be very similar because by the time you get to the final backer build, you figure it's close to being what it's going to be. So anyway, got a plan. Awesome. I sit down, I play a mission. That actually went pretty well. And I'm thinking, all right, we got this. I'll do some minor editing. I got my video. Sweet. Well, not so fast there, cowboy, because it turns out that I was more than a little rusty at recording and I had screwed up the video. So I basically had 0 video come out at all. All I had was, a half hour of audio describing a mission that no one would ever see. So that wasn't great. Obviously, I had to scrub that one. So I came back the next day and I made sure that both the audio and the video were recording because, yes, I can be taught. And I played another mission. And this time, the video was perfect. But even though I had an audio file, and this is really rare, but it just didn't come out well at all. And I tried to massage it. I tried various things in the editing program that I have access to. Could not get it to be acceptable. I mean, it was just really bad. So at this point, I was already discouraged that my first attempt ended just in completely being a waste of time, right? Now I do another play session and same thing, basically. I have some video, but that's it. And, I've wasted more time. And again, my work schedule was really busy. So this was not easy for me to carve out in the first place. That's not the game's fault, by the way. But in terms of me continuing to try to make this video, it was very demotivating. The other thing that was happening is I was starting to dislike the game more. I said I didn't really have negative feelings toward it. That had been true, but as I was going through this and playing more missions, I was starting to get really tired of it. Instead of not caring if I played another mission, I was starting to actively not want to play another mission. So the combination of those things, kind of wearing myself out on the process of trying to record a video and failing at such a basic thing and then my feelings about the game starting to sour more, it was making it very difficult for me to want to continue. I think after that second failure, I told myself, well, okay, I'll do it again in a day or two. And I just never did. It kept gnawing at me, and I kept thinking, I should really do a Phoenix Point video. I should really do a Phoenix Point video. But then it started getting to where the game was about to release. And it's kind of silly to put out a video based on a pre-release build days before other people are going to publish a review on the finished product. I mean, what's the point of even doing that? I kind of let it go, obviously, at some point, and I stopped worrying about it. Now, I say I let it go. The reality is it's always bothered me that I never published that video, but it is what it is. Even though I had kind of turned on the game in my own mind, I was still curious to know, did they manage to work it into a better product? Or maybe a better way to say it is a game that I would appreciate more, because I don't want to make it sound like if I don't take to something, that means it's inherently bad. But, I was hopeful that, hey, what in particular I thought they would fix is making the base feel more dynamic, more like a space that you occupy. Like, in XCOM 2, as you move from one part of the ship to the other, it's got animations and stuff, and you see the base as a whole, and it feels like a ship that you're going to this room and then that room. Whereas in this, it just doesn't. It's just not animated that way or anything. So anyway, I made it a point to check out reviews and all that. And I was pretty disheartened by what I read. Now, I guess the good news for Phoenix Point is that I didn't really see a lot of reviews where they just trashed it. I think its average on Metacritic was in the mid 70s or something like that. I mean, that's fine, right? It's not horrific, but it's not particularly good either. So I guess that kind of matched up with my initial impression before I started to sour on it a little bit more. The thing that really struck me, though, there was one review, and I'm going to read you just a small excerpt of his summary, because the thing that shocked me is, the opinion that I just expressed of my impressions based primarily on the backer build, how much this guy echoed it. And anyway, so let me read this to you. He says, Phoenix Point just does not come together well at all. The geoscape section is mostly ruined by the unpolished dynamic of the three factions. Certainly a cool idea that likely needed months more fleshing out. The tactical session, a part that can often carry these games, also needed far more time to fix all the issues. This is the part though, even if all these things were taken care of, there is just a lack of heart. It's very hard to care about soldiers as cookie cutter as these are. Base management is forgettable. And finally, there just is little to pull you in. So those last couple sentences in particular, I just felt like, man, that's exactly how I felt when I was playing. Honestly, I didn't even get far enough to see some of the issues that, he was talking about. Again, not saying my opinion is the one true opinion. I'm sure there's people who love the game. I'm just not one of them. Now, I should add, I did not leave it there. I kept telling myself, I should still play it at some point. And so finally, when I knew I wanted to make this video, I did. I downloaded the final, release version. I loaded it up and played through the tutorial and then a handful of missions. But honestly, for me, yeah, I really do start to dislike the game, actively dislike it the more that I play. And I can't even really put my finger on why, beyond the things I've already said, because I feel like I probably dislike it more than it deserves. There's something about it that's starting to just really rub me the wrong way. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and keep playing it to try to figure that out. I would rather just move on to something that I might enjoy more. I know it's a strange concept. I'm sure there's people who enjoy the game and I wish them nothing but happiness when they play it. But I won't be one of them. So I had said, because until I did play this, I had said, hey, maybe Phoenix Point will be the next series I play. I don't know. And I meant it when I said it, because I still held out that hope that when I play it again, maybe I'll like it more. Now that I've tried it, I know that won't be the case. For me, it looks very pretty. I still give it that way. And especially if you zoom in on the enemies and stuff, gorgeous design. It really is, and really well rendered. I can't give them enough kudos for that. But that's kind of all it has that appeals to me, and that is nowhere near enough. So up to this point, it's always bothered me that I couldn't manage to upload a single video about this game, and I really wanted to get something previewing it before it shipped. But at least today, I finally have published something about Phoenix Point. So maybe I can finally let go of that feeling that I have unfinished business with it, and now I can try to focus on other games. So I hope that you found this at least moderately interesting and or entertaining. Thanks for watching. I hope we see you next time.